JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 22nd of July 2021. So welcome everyone, welcome to this Thursday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a view of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, as always, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website and specifically our JFD research page, which we also update on a daily basis. So check us out here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right there on the top. So now then, jumping into the charts, normally I start off with Nikkei, but Japan is closed today, so yep, we'll start off with Shanghai Composite. So yesterday markets kind of returned to risk on trading again. So you can see here the Asian session today followed suit and pushed higher, and most importantly that we have risen above the 3,567 territory, the one that I was talking about, and now it kind of opens up the door towards possible move towards the upper side of this little range here, where the wider range where the index is currently sitting in. So again, we have crossed basically the midpoint of that range. Also, of course, this level is has been a good area of resistance, as you can see here. Yep, now let's see if we can stay above this area, because don't forget that we have around 50-something minutes left of trading on the Shanghai Composite. So anything could happen, of course, but if it manages to remain above this hurdle, then this increases the chances for a further move higher, a further push north here, like I said, where the next target is the upper side of this little range here, which is roughly around the 3,626 territory. And then, yeah, we will take it from there, guys. Now, jumping into another index, the German index, DAX, and yep, we had a nice, beautiful rebound from this upside support line. Of course, the initial holdup happened on Monday. On Tuesday, we kind of floated just slightly above it, and this is what I talked about. If you remember, that if this upside line continues to provide support together with the 100-day EMA, then yep, a move higher could be possible. However, I'll get a bit more comfortable with that idea if we climb above this 15,456 territory right here, and then we could consider maybe a push and a larger kind of push higher. Of course, don't get me wrong, at that point we would still need to be careful near this 20 to 21-day EMA shown as the yellow line to see if it's not going to act as a resistance. But if that gets cleared as well, then yes, higher levels could be met. Now, if you remember, for the downside, what I said yesterday was that we need to see a drop below this hurdle here, below this 15,000, and well, let's round it up, 50. That's kind of near the lowest point, the current lowest point of this week. If we drop below this hurdle, then yes, we could consider a move lower. But at the moment, as you can see, and the bulls are in control. If we take a look at the cash index right now, just bear with me one moment, then we'll see that the price is currently sitting at around 15,400 and actually, yep, 15,460. So we have managed to climb above that hurdle, the one that I talked about. So long story short, if we continue to trade above it, then yes, I will aim for some higher levels. Now the Spanish index, Ibex 35. So here the situation is a little bit more difficult, I would say, because first of all, we are still trading below the downside line taken from the high of the 15th of June. Although we drifted lower, we dropped below this 208 EMA. I've looked at Ibex 35 previously, and basically, as you can see, we have drifted lower, but the index found some good support near this little area here. Let me just quickly grab another line here. Nope, not this. Just bear with me a moment. There we go. So this is where we found support in between these two areas, between the 8,240 roughly around here and the 8,274. So after finding support here this weekend on Monday, the index reversed higher and is now pushing north, and the most importantly, it's back above the 200-day EMA, so kind of giving a bit of hope here for the buyers. However, don't forget that we are still below this downside line, so a break of it would still be needed, but in order to find the next potential target from where we could kind of consider maybe the upside, I would probably say that maybe this level here, the 8,822 level, so 8822, beautiful number here. At the same time, I mean, that's the high of last week basically, and if we climb above this area, then well, then potentially more buyers could join in, because also we would be placed back above the above all of the EMAs here, and like I said, maybe some of the traders could see this as a good opportunity to step in. So but long story short, guys, for now, as I said, the downside line is still the one to watch. If it somehow holds, then well, it could struggle with the upside, but if that gets broken, then certainly higher levels could be met. Now the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now, looking at this picture, you can see that we had a nice, beautiful move here to the upside. So everything kind of worked out nicely here for the buyers. Most importantly, we also stayed above the 21-day EMA. Of course, not to mention that we have rebounded from this upside line taken from the low of the 4th of March, and now we are. It seems that we are on track to maybe retest the all-time high again. So that area, let me just zoom in here a little bit. That area was roughly around this 35,091, 92 area, approximately around here, guys. So, long story short, for now, I will continue targeting the upside. The cash index is currently sitting at around 34,830 zone, so basically above yesterday's close, and above this hurdle here. And that's if it continues to trade above it, then guys, yep, like I said, my next target is the all-time high, or maybe even the a new all-time high here. But again, let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, let's see what he wants to do with this 34,814 territory, this one right here, and if it stays above that, then yes, like I said, we could consider a further move north. If it starts falling back below the 21-day EMA, then maybe we could consider a bit of a larger correction here to the downside towards this upside support line. Now, looking at the dollar index, and this is what I mentioned yesterday, guys. So we had some positivity. We saw the positivity in the first half of this week. So yep, good. Of course, investors were jumping into buying dollars as the market sentiment changed to risk off in the beginning of this week, and yep, I can see yesterday after everything kind of became a bit more positive in the equity world, the dollar index took a hit and it drifted lower. And what I said to you yesterday, that if it falls back below this hurdle right here, then well, I mean, we could consider a bit of a maybe corrective move here lower. However, let's also consider something else here. First of all, if we draw an upside support line taken from the low of the 25th of June, then you'll see that we still have a bit of room here for a move lower, and maybe we could see a nice rebound from that upside line. So. But if this upside line, of course, gets broken and we see the price falling below the 21-day EMA as well, then yep, more sellers might join in. So keep that in mind. But for now, it is a tricky moment here. I mean, we could see maybe a drift lower here, but if by any chance the index climbs back above the 92.85 territory and stays above it, then well, we could consider a move higher again. Now jumping into gold very quickly, and gold pushed lower, of course. I mean, as you can see, this downside line no longer provided support, because again, this is what I talked about, that we were trading above that downside line initially, and we violated again. So we can first of all get rid of it. So now what we're going to do here is we'll have to reevaluate some of these levels. And I would say that looking at this picture, one of the levels that stays kind of the same is the 1792 territory right here, marked by the low the 12th of July. And if we drop below it, then we could consider a bit of a larger correction here to the downside. Now in terms of the upside, guys, now here where, like I said, we need to kind of adjust it a little bit. I will keep an eye on yesterday's high near the 1814 territory, approximately around here, because if we climb above it, the commodity would be back above all of its EMAs, and potentially more buyers could see this as a good opportunity to step in and drive this one a little bit to the upside. But again, the upside might get limited here near this little short-term tentative downside resistance line taken from the high of the 1st of June. So, long story short, for now, guys, this is the kind of the complex situation here on gold. But if we clear one of these levels, then yep, maybe this is where we could see a bit of opportunity coming in. Now jumping into silver, and silver, yep, drifted higher yesterday, of course, on weakening dollar. It pushed north, but this is what I talked to you guys, and this is what I said to you previously, that in a way we might see a bit of a correction here to the upside. However, if the 200-day EMA continues to provide resistance, then another slide here might be possible. And as you can see, we are now kind of drifting, or kind of stuck. Actually stuck. There we go. I mean, this is where I need to think. Yeah. Anyway, this is where we're stuck right now. We are kind of near this 200-day EMA, and to be honest, keep your eyes on the dollar index, because if that starts moving south, further south, then well, we could see silver pushing back towards this and back and testing this 200-day EMA again, and then of course we'll take it from there, because if it holds, then another slide could be possible. If it breaks, we might start considering higher levels, but again, there will be a few issues with the upside. However, I'll get to that point if we climb back above the 200-day EMA. Now something that took the spotlight yesterday, WTI oil, in general, oil. Here we have WTI oil pushing strongly back up here, and as you can see, kind of almost recovering all the losses made on Monday. Of course, we still have a little bit here, but that might be something left for today, especially if the commodity travels back above the 70.43 and 70.79 levels here. Basically this area, if it climbs above it, then we'll aim for that 200-day EMA, and we'll take it from there. For now, I would say yes, everything's looking still slightly on the positive side. However, I would prefer to get a push through this area first, as I've mentioned this in the beginning of this week as well, in order to get comfortable with higher levels. So let's keep that in mind for now. And for the downside, I mean, to consider maybe lower levels, depending on how everything's going to shape up here, we might start looking at this 67.58 zone, which is the inside swing high of the 20th of July. But or we could actually keep an eye on the current lowest point of this week near the 65.11, and then yes, a drop below this hurdle would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and potentially more sellers could join in. Now jumping into Litecoin very quickly, so we had a nice rebound in the crypto world yesterday. Of course, Mr. Musk did play its part in all this. You can have a read through that in the news, of course, where he said that he most likely will accept Bitcoin as a payment again, but again after some due diligence has been made. So so that kind of gave a little boost here in the crypto world, and yep, we saw many cryptos rebounding from some of their key support levels, like Litecoin being one of them, of course, where it rebounded from this lowest point of June here near the 105.78 zone, approximately around here. And yep, we pushed higher, but we are still trading below this downside line. So this downside line is taken from the high of the 20th of May, and in a way, if it continues to provide resistance, then another slide could be possible. Now jumping into a few pairs very quickly, AUDJPY, so certainly, of course, reacting to the whole kind of risk-on and trading environment yesterday. So it pushed higher after, and let me just adjust this very quickly. There we go. So it pushed higher. After we tested this 80.65 territory, we drifted lower. You can see that the pair found support near this 79.85 level, approximately around here, from where it rebounded and pushed higher. And now we're currently sitting near this steep downside resistance line taken from the high of the 6th of July. Now it's a bit of a tentative line, but nevertheless we're currently getting a hold up here. We might push higher, don't get me wrong, we might see a further move north here. However, for me to get a little bit more comfortable with slightly higher levels, I would like to see a push back above this barrier first, the 81.32 zone, which is marked by the low of the 8th of July. And at the same time, if we climb above this area, then we would be placed above the 200-day EMA, and potentially more buyers could join in here. But again, if we pop higher, but let's say at the end of the day, the pop higher would be seen as just a temporary, or should I say, a false breakout, and then we see the daily candle, and at the end of the day dropping back below this downside line, then well, the downside scenario is not off the table then yet. USDJPY a little bit more positive. However, again, it's a tricky one here. I mean, yes, looking at this picture right now, everything's kind of leaning a little bit more towards the upside. So in a way, actually, we might see AUDJPY also following suit. So, so yeah, let's keep an eye on that, guys. For now, yes, USDJPY is looking quite positive here, because we've managed to break this downside line taken from the high of the 2nd of July, and we are now back above the 21-day EMA as well. If you want to be a little bit more on the safe side and the kind of cautious side, then you keep an eye on this 110.70 territory marked by the high of the 14th of July. And if we climb above it, then yes, we could consider maybe a push towards this 111.65, 66 territory, approximately around here, marked by the current highest point of July, and then we would take it from there. For the downside, to be honest, to be kind of careful here on the safe side, I would prefer to maybe wait for a drop somewhere below this area, below this 109.06 territory, and then yes, at the same time the pair would be placed below the 100-day EMA, and more sellers could join in. USDCAD so drifted nicely to the downside yesterday after a spur here on Monday, where it managed to kind of clear some of these levels. some of these important resistance levels, and yep, what's interesting here, it kind of drifted back down, fell back below the 200-day EMA and below this 1.2590 zone marked by the high of the 8th of July. And yeah, so I mean, looking at this picture, if oil continues to rally, continues to push higher, then, well, I mean, we could see USDCAD drifting a little bit here, more to the downside towards this upside, this steeper upside support line taken from the actually the low of this low here, the low of the 9th of June, and then we'll take it from there. If that gets broken, then we could see a larger correction here to the downside. US dollar against the Russian ruble. Now, of course, the ruble is strengthening again due to strengthening oil, and we're seeing a move back below this, below all of the EMAs. Now, however, here you can see that yes, we are currently drifting lower, but don't forget that we still have something like this here, which we have a little short-term tentative upside line. So in a way, we have plenty of room for a bit of a correction here to the downside, but still it could be seen as a temporary correction if according to this short-term tentative upside line taken from the low of the 11th of June. But another thing as well here to consider is a possible bullish flag, but again, we would class that bullish flag only if we see a clear breakthrough, or actually it's more of a pennant actually, so bullish pennant. So if we the only thing is that we will class this as a bullish pennant if we break the upper side of it. So at the moment we're just stuck in this formation. Let's see how it's going to play out in relation to this lower side of the pennant. But if it provides support, maybe a rebound here could be possible. So just something for you to keep in mind. I do like I said, I mentioned this already previously before, that I do like to look at some of these slightly more exotic pairs, just because they are sometimes quite technical. So, but let's see if this is going to play out or not. For now, it's just an idea, guys. If we drop below the lower side of this pennant and we continue to trade below it, then, well, maybe, like I said, a bit of a large correction here towards this upside support line could be possible. Now, GBPUSD, certainly enjoying the weaker dollar moment here, and but nevertheless, as I mentioned before, when I covered GBPUSD in the beginning of this week, and actually in the end of last week, I said that if we drop below this 1.3732 territory, this will confirm a forthcoming lower low. My next target will be the 200-day EMA together with this 1.3670 zone, or eventually we could reach this lowest point of February of 2021, and yep, we could maybe see a nice good hold up here. And look at this. I mean, this is, I would say, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished, and now we're seeing a nice rebound from this area. Now, how far will the rebound be? Well, to be honest, for now, I would say if it climbs above this hurdle, this is probably the more accurate way of drawing this, would be something like this, basically. So if it climbs back above this hurdle, the 1.3732, and stays above it, then we could maybe consider a bit of a move higher here, where we could test this this medium term, actually more of a right now long-term tentative upside, or actually it's no longer a tentative because we had a hold up here. So there we go. So a long-term upside support line taken from the low of the 18th of May. If we push higher, test that from underneath, we could even overshoot it. But if the daily candle remains below it, guys, then a bit of a corrective move back down could be possible. So again, let's see how this is going to play out here. For now, I'm targeting this upside line, and yep, then we'll take it from there. EURUSD. So the pair is stuck, and the pair, it seems to be forming something of a bearish flag here. First of all, we can get rid of this falling channel, no longer kind of valid, but we can keep this downside line here, taken from the high of the 4th of March of this year, of course. Now, also at the same time, you can see that we are forming something, we're currently ranging, first of all, and this little range is forming a kind of potential flag here. So because we have our pole to the downside here on the 8th of July, and then this little sideways activity is, like I said, could be seen as a bearish flag. However, in either way, I mean, if you want to consider this scenario, then still a break of the current lowest point of July near the 1.0805 level would be required. So if we drop below that, then yes, this will confirm a forthcoming lower low, and our next target could be the low of the 15th of February. Yep, there we go. Is it actually also the lowest point of February? Just let me check. Yes, that's also the lowest point of February of this year, and that's near the 1.0758. So that could be our next target. Certainly, we do have some other potential targets here underneath, like for example the lowest point of January, or in other words the lowest point of this year, the current lowest point of this year, near the 1.07, well, let's round it up here to 40, so approximately around there. But again, either way, guys, I mean, still the confirmation break is required below the 1.0805 territory right here. And finally, EURUSD. So the pair is, I would say, stuck again. You can see how well this 1.1772 territory, the one that I mentioned previously, is playing out, because look at this. I mean, at the moment, I mean, we keep getting overshoots here. For the third day in a row, we had the overshoots, we had these false breakouts, but still the daily candle came back and stayed above this area, and that's the low of the 13th of July. And that, of course, kind of gives a bit of strength here into the whole near-term outlook, kind of some positivity, brings some positivity into the near-term outlook. But again, let's see how this is going to play out. Now, first of all, let me get rid of this this drawing here, because no longer I'm going to look at that. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to keep an eye on this little short-term, tentative downside resistance line taken from the high of the 25th of June. And in a way, if you want to consider this as a potential descending triangle, then of course, yes, these patterns tend to break to the downside. But however, again, if we somehow manage to break this downside line, and then we are able to climb above this 1.1836 territory here, then maybe, just maybe, more buyers could step in and potentially drive this one higher, initially towards this 1.1895 territory, and then maybe towards this 200-day EMA shown here as the black line, and then we will take it from there, guys. But that's, like I said, in the scenario of the upside, but for that, this break of the downside line is required. So guys, that's it for this session. I really hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for joining in and watching this one till the end. I really appreciate your time. If you want to catch me tomorrow morning, as always, is my Trader's Espresso. That's 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, have a wonderful trading day. Stay safe, have your stop losses in place, and everything will be fine. So have a wonderful day, and bye-bye.